She's funny, she's smart, she craves chocolate every day, and she is the Greek goddess of comedy. Here is your host, Ellen Karis.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Karis' Comedy Corner. My name is Ellen Karis, and you are listening to the guest edition of Karis' Comedy Corner, where I have one of my favorite guests. And when I say favorite, I mean she has been on with us before, and I adore her. So you just hang on. Let me just do these ads and get this over with. Thank you, Baywalk Marketing, which is, by the way, how I met my guest. Go to their website, baywalk.net, for all of your advertising and marketing needs. They can help you with any kind of a flyer. They can help you with your social media. They can help you analyze the demographics of your business, and they are experts in the Greek community. Go to their website, hollywoodgreeks.com, to find out where all the Greek entertainment is, and hellenicfestivals.org to find out where there is a Greek festival near you. And our other sponsor is Select Flex. What is that? It's an orthotic. What's an orthotic? It's also called an insert, and you put it in your shoe. Why? Because you need it. Your entire body needs it. Everything starts from the foot and works its way up. It's your back, your knees, your shins, your hips. I do not work out without these in my sneakers. And as you know, I am a New Yorker, which means I walk every place. Can't take the subway anymore anyway, because it's disgusting. And it is UGG season here in the Northeast, which means that I absolutely have them in my Uggs, because there's no support in those, even though they are so comfortable. So go to their website, selectflex.com, selectflex.com. And for Karis Comedy Corner listeners, there's a 25% discount if you type in the code FAMILY25, FAMILY 25, because you, my listeners, I love much better than my family, who are a pain in my ass these days. And I'm not fighting with you guys. So please go to their website, and there's a little 30-second video. They're great. And trust me, best invention since suitcase on wheels. All right. One more thing. And I want to just mention this, and I'm going to mention this at every podcast. I am helping out with a campaign for a young woman who was diagnosed with leukemia, and she's Greek Cypriot descent. And we are looking for people to swab volunteers to see if they are a match. Now, it's not about donating an organ. It's about donating blood, and they would take the stem cells out, and then they replenish you back in. And I don't know all the medical situations, but it's completely non-invasive. If you can go to the website for Andrea, I'm going to post this on my website as well, for Andrea. .com, and and her story is there. She's lovely. She has 2 teenage kids. She's a CPA, amazing, incredible woman. So anyway, so I wanted to just mention that as well. Okay. Without further ado, my guest, I love her so much. If I had an engineer in here and this was a fancy show, we would have Greek music playing, but it's not. It's just me and my annoying voice. I love her. She is an author. She is a chef. She works the family farm. She's got the lavender fields. She lives in Northern California. I had the privilege, I should say, of meeting her in person when I did a show in Sacramento for the Sacramento HEPA, and she came. I thought she lived around the corner, because again, I'm from New York, and with us, it's like how many blocks. She lived an hour and a half away and drove down, because that's what people in California do. That's a block to them. So anyway, she's an author. We're going to get to all of this. She's one of my favorite people on the planet. Please welcome my guest, Krystina Kalapothakos.
Hi, Ellen. It's so good to be back, my dear. It's so good to be back.
So we are Zooming.
We are.
I don't think we did this the last bunch of times. The first time you were on was in 2016, and I was at the studio in Brooklyn. So I was doing it on bboxradio.com. So you called in, it was live. We did it then, and then we did a Skype. And when you were in Greece, we did a Skype, and you were with your friend. A few times. So this is the first time we're actually doing Zoom, which is like normal. It took a pandemic for us to actually do a normal show. So
it really did.
But anyway, that's how we roll. It's pathetic that I could have been Zooming all this time. So although I do this wouldn't apply to you because you're not here unless you were here, but I used to do it in the studio, podcast studio at the Comic Strip, which is a comedy club on 2nd Avenue and 81st Street. But
Right.
anyway, I mean, they're open now, and I'll be there January 18th. But this got so easy and less and obviously no money. So and just as good. So anyway, we're doing it this way.
We're
But,
actually seeing each other right now. We were doing it blindsided before. So
I know exactly. Although we got to meet, which was great. So
Yeah.
so I get your emails. You are a food blogger. You
Yes.
send emails with pictures and recipes. And as I've told you before, and nothing's changed, I am not a cook, but I love to eat. And when I see some of your recipes, I only pray that someday, maybe, although I know you have family there, you might
Yes.
move to New York
Oh.
and move in with us, meaning my husband and I, and perhaps be a part of the family and cook for us. That's that's really what I'm hoping for.
You know what? I have my suitcase right here. I can pack and I'll be there. Yes, you've been a longtime friend of mine. I was very fortunate to meet you years ago. It feels so long that we really haven't talked in a while. So it's amazing that when I come back on your show, we always catch up. And I really appreciate you. You are one of my favorite Greek comedians, of course. And I'm so happy to be back. We can actually catch up now on Zoom, see each other. So it's great.
Now, your hair was long. And when I saw you in person, of course, it was long. And let me just tell everybody too, if nobody knows, when Krystina came, we actually that night went to a comedy club in Sacramento.
Yes.
So the punchline, yes, the punchline. So that was hilarious. And then the headliner I had just worked with, which was ironic.
That's crazy.
Right. And the guy, he lives in, I'm trying to think of his name. He lives in Idaho, which is, his name escapes me right now, but I can see his face. Anyway, so that was fun. And then we hung out and it was great to see you. And I was blown away that you drove. And I've said this before, when you're a Greek New Yorker, you really don't think there are other Greeks other than in New York, Boston, and Chicago. So until I started doing stand-up comedy, did I realize that there were Greeks west of the Mississippi. And I certainly had no idea that there are ones in Northern California as there are. So
we're here. Yes, we're here.
I know. So how did that, because everything had like an origin, like we had Ellis Island, obviously, and the Greeks started and with the restaurants.
Yeah.
I mean, like it took one person to come here and then I don't know, the whole Horiot came. But why did they come to, because they had it, I'm assuming, come to, notice I know all this history, but somehow come from Ellis Island. They had to get here some way. What was it about coming to Northern California and out west that was attracted to them? Like, would you know any backstory with that?
I wish I could answer that. I wish my dad was right here on the show with me. He's actually at work right now. He's still working actually at 77. So he's going full time. So I think my baba, he came from actually to Ellis Island and then over here via cargo ship. So I'm not sure how the other Greeks, they probably migrated, I'm assuming, from New York, because we have many cousins. There's like somewhere where you can look at ancestry online. From Ellis Island, we have a lot of Kalapothakos coming in from Greece. So I think it was a mixture, Ellen. I'm not sure the history. That's something I would really like to hear myself. So my dad, though, he did come from Ellis Island and Ellis Island to Sacramento. So, yeah.
Well, I remember when I went to Utah, I had asked that question, and the industry that they were all coming to work at was the railroads. So, because I mean, obviously they came here for jobs, so they had to go where the jobs were. But I just, like I said, I find it fascinating. And so your dad came here. It's not like he moved into this Greek neighborhood.
No, he didn't.
He spoke Greek, obviously was his native tongue. So
Yes.
how did he, do you know how he like managed?
He didn't. He taught himself English. He went to American River College. So San Francisco, the background here, that's not where I'm from. But really quick going back, I'm pretty sure the Greeks went to San Francisco first. So there's many Greeks there in comparison to Sacramento. And they probably somehow migrated over to Sacramento. But yes, my dad, he self-taught himself. And you can, I'm sorry, Baba, but every day I try to correct him when he says, I'm cereal. And he thinks eating cereal is serious. I'm cereal. And he doesn't understand the difference between, but he used to go from door to door, knocking on people's houses, doors, and saying, I want to do your landscaping. I want to mow your lawn. And he started landscaping from that. And then he started teaching himself English. And then from there, he went to American River College and got his landscaping architect something, professional degree. And then he went from there to Yanni's landscaping. And to this day, he's still going strong. So yes, he taught himself. Yeah.
And your mom?
And my mom and my dad met at a Greek restaurant, surprisingly. Zorba the Greek, I believe, is the name. Yeah.
The one restaurant, right? The one Greek restaurant.
the one that the owner's name is like Lucky, and that's how the Greeks always associate, the men. Hey, Lucky, like it's like this, the same name. So.
And was your mom born here or what?
Mom born and raised, and she's not Greek, so she's American, born and raised in California. Yeah.
Got it.
So.
Got it. So and you have a sister, right? And
I have two. I have one half in Greece, my dad's first daughter, Davrula. And then I have Angela, who has two little ones now. So
right, you post always about your nephew. So where the passion for the food, where, how, where? Yeah, I mean, I realize yes, Greek, easy, but so am I. And you see, I'm nowhere near the kitchen. So how was that? Like, how did that all to make a living out of it? That's
to make a living out of it is really hard, as most of everybody knows about being a chef. That is difficult, especially during everything we're going through now. But where the passion comes from, both my parents cook. We always had big parties and big celebrations, and we're Greek, and my dad plays a huge role of being Greek. So I never really thought I'm half, I am half Greek, but being Greek was huge in our household. It was going to church, going every Sunday to learn Greek, the whole 9 yards. So I think with them both being cooks, they really had a huge influence on me. But my grandmother, my dad's mother in Greece, she had a huge influence on me too, as being a foodie and then being a chef. Yeah.
So you have, first of all, you have authored 2 cookbooks.
Yes, I have one right here.
And it is A Drop of Lavi, My Greek Soul. And it is just chock full of really great recipes and stories. And your other book, do you have your other book?
I don't. And the other book, it's Back to My Roots. Right. And I think you have the other book, right? Or do you have both books? I'm not sure.
I have to look. I do have to look. It would be nice if I showed them up, but again, no producer, but go ahead.
Yeah. So, I don't want to hate on Back to My Roots. It is my first book. And it was my first book, my first experience of being an author. And Ellen, being an author is really hard. And especially when you self-publish, if you have a publishing company, that's another story.
Right.
But I self-published on both. And I think I did the best that I could. And the second one is kicking butt. It's doing really well. A Drop of Lavi in My Greek Soul is 350 pages. And the first book is 88. So really the people lean towards the second book in comparison to the first. But the first one is where my heart's in both of them, of course, but the first one will always be that first baby, if you will.
Right.
And that was the push to even do the other second one. So
Are
Um,
you thinking of a third one down the road or?
yes,
Mhm.
yes, I am. And what I can say about the third right now is that it is all Mediterranean,
Uh-huh.
and it will be for the bread lovers. So
Oh gosh, I
yeah,
love bread. Oh, so good.
you
Um,
really have to get it once it's out. I have to send one to you, but
oh,
I'm going way forward. So
yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know where you get the time to do all this. So let's just sort of dive into like COVID and food. So
yeah,
if there was any business other than Clorox wipes that did well, that is still doing well, because like obviously we're not out of this thing,
no,
chazoprama, as I like to call it.
has a
Uh,
problem. No.
oh, it's such a chazabra, which means like if you're not Greek, it doesn't translate, but it's just like stupid freaking thing. That's how I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
my New Yorkese, it's just a stupid freaking thing. And so other than Clorox wipes and the sanitizers, food in general
Food.
has uh, just exploded on the scene because
Mhm.
lots of people, myself included, were eating our feelings. So, what was it like for you? Were you working when this sort of went down in March 2020? Were you
No,
working in a catering, or what were you doing?
I lost a lot of events, Ellen,
Like,
due to that. One of which was a huge one with a Greek company who does concerts, and
oh
that
God.
was pretty upsetting because it was a dream of mine. And but what can you do? They canceled a show in Sacramento, and they wanted to feature my cookbook on stage with a singer,
Oh,
and then and then it went downhill. Said she gives me a call, hey, I'm sorry, it's not gonna work. So it is what it is, and that's kind of the saying, it is what it is during this whole pandemic. We had our definite ups and downs, as we all can probably say. So I lost my grandmother during COVID, not because
oh,
of COVID, but
oh, I'm so sorry.
thank you. And then I lost a friend's mom, and that was really hard. And I know that all of us again have been through. We could all feel the pain of COVID. But the foods, I think a lot of the delivery companies, Ellen, were going up pretty high. Like I know Deliveroo in London was going up really high. Uber Eats, probably, I'm sure. Just a lot of delivery companies, like you said, we were eating our feelings. So I think bloggers, food bloggers in general, were doing really well because everybody was staying at home. They were typing what recipes they wanted to cook. And so we did see an increase of views and traffic, but it was hard for us. And, Nestor works at Costco, so I could tell you the whole end of that.
Nestor
Um,
is your boyfriend of how many years?
almost 10. And
Wow. Okay.
yeah, Becca Mazi, 10
All right.
years together.
All right.
Yeah.
Ella,
So,
Ella, Ella, Nestor, Ella, we're waiting.
Ella Nestor.
Peri,
Otherwise, I'm going to ask Ellen for some.
perime,
Okay.
perimenume. We're waiting. Yeah, we're waiting.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So not to put him on the seat. He's a New Yorker, so I understand, the New York stuff. So he got cussed out by a Greek guy, surprisingly, at Costco. The guy
Oh,
thought he was, Hispanic, and the guy didn't want to follow rules. And I said, Nestor, one person's gonna be Greek, and you're not gonna know that, and you guys are gonna have, words.
right.
And he said in Greek to Nestor, he said, Vlakas, and it was just like, and the guy didn't think he was Greek, and there was this whole story of not following the rules, and but it was pretty funny in the end. Nestor said, "Oh, I have a story for you," with a Greek person. So
Well,
yeah,
here, and I don't know, you can tell me what it was like where you are. And I know you're much more in the suburbs and in the country, in the
yes,
city, but when this first went down for, I'd say, a good couple months, the supermarkets had lines. Now we do delivery here a lot as well. So the delivery people were like all over the place. I mean, it was nuts. It was insane, couldn't get the toilet
I can
paper.
see, I can see it, I can see it. The toilet paper industry went up pretty high, and it it was insane that Nestor told me at Costco that they didn't have any toilet paper. People were buying so much toilet paper. It was like, why are you doing that? You know, people were fighting over toilet paper rolls and selling them. I think that was going on for at least a year into COVID. So, you know, we all had a shortage of toilet paper, and it was kind of crazy.
So what did you do to keep your sanity? So your gigs got canceled. What about the farm? And tell everybody about your farm.
Okay, so we have a small lavender farm. We started in Rescue, California, which is pretty high up in the foothills in El Dorado County. And then, unfortunately, my parents, we lost that house. Going forward, that was many years ago in 2008. So we had to rebuild. And then we have.
I'm sorry, in a fire, you lost it?
No, it was another, you know, the economy and everything.
Got it.
So, but speaking of fires, I'll get there. I know you've probably seen what happened in California recently. So, but fast forward, we built our own small farm here, and we still make our own products by hand. My mom did really well this past Christmas season, and she's still selling. friendsoftheearthlavender.com is the website. And we make everything by our own plants. We distill our own oil. We make our own products. And it's really nice. And if you love lavender, this is the place to be. You know, you support a small family business. But you asked me what I was doing during all this COVID. I was going crazy. I chopped my hair off completely. I went really, really short. I did the COVID crazy haircut.
I mean, your hair is beautiful. And I love the style, but when I met you, it was down to your back.
It was down here. Yeah. And that's where it was. And one day, I think it was Nestor who we found out he had alopecia out of nowhere. He had 3, he told me just chop off my really long hair. I just want to go short. And I think both of us just did the COVID haircut. I'm a hairstylist, you know, so it was, okay, I'm going to do it. Here we go. Chopped it off, the whole cochila. And then he had 3 patches behind his head. And I said, I did not do that. I'm just warning you. I didn't do it. You know, I was using the clippers.
Right.
And he said, what are you looking at? What happened? And I turned his head, you know, look in the mirror. And that's when he noticed he had alopecia. So he's been going through that. So then to help him, I chopped my hair off. And I remember I started using the trimmers, like the clippers. That's how short it was. It was a pixie. I went 26 inches off. And yeah, I think you saw a picture of me. And this is actually grown out after.
I did. Yeah, no, I did. Did you donate your hair? Did you get a chance to do that?
I didn't, my dear. I would have loved to donate, but because it was color treated, they don't really use that. So,
got it. Right. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow. And how did it feel to cut off all that hair?
I said, why did I do it? That's probably it felt good at first, but then when it grows out, you know, you have all these layers, and this is probably, 1 year in the making, 1 year now in January. So,
well, I am on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, the show, and I've been on it for 3 seasons. And as much as I love being on it, one of the things that I have to do is to get my hair cut. And the problem is that I never know when I'm going to get called for the season. So the last 3 seasons, it's been like the day before. And the people that cut the hair, not the people that are working on set, the hair makeup people are brilliant, the costumer, like they're brilliant there. Okay. But they seem to hire other people to do the hair cutting.
Yes.
And they literally like, so the first year I got a bad haircut. The second year it was the first year, the guy, he was a barber, really. He just went like this. He just gave me this. And it was short. The second year, the guy did style it a little bit, but he started to cut bangs. And I'm like, what are you doing? Because you have to have like shoulder length, but they go shorter.
Yeah.
But it grew out. This last time, this woman took the shears and just, I think, what are you doing? No. She goes, don't look. I'm like, what? So I told them, I'll cut my hair. I don't mind cutting it short, but I need a time to go to somebody that I trust. I'm not letting them do that again, or else I'm not doing the show. I mean, it's just like crazy. So
That's
all
crazy.
that to say, mine's is since March. I did get it trimmed once. I had to, it was all dead, and I can't stand it. And it's, you know what? It's still not styled right. It's, it's.
I
So
need
I
to
don't
come
know how
over
you
there.
do it. What?
I need to come over there and cook for you and do your hair.
Oh,
Those two.
please. Oh,
Count
please.
me in.
I'm a mess. I'm a
I
mess.
won't chop your hair like I did to mine. No, I used to have an A-line, so we went back to the screwing into the A-line again.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, they were like, "What did you just do?" My papa was like, "You're a boy now," and he literally said that. I said, "Thank you." That's not exactly what I was expecting, but I think he said something like, "I always wanted a boy," so
Oh,
I was
that's
like, "Really? Okay." So. Yeah, COVID was really hard, Ellen, for everyone. And I think just cooking just kept me going. I really didn't see any friends whatsoever. And then I think it was, what was it, last summer, I finally decided to go to Greece just for a short amount of time and go to London and be there for my friend. And that was, it was hard because they lost their mom. And I think if you can do that for a friend during a tough time, do it. But it will always be hard when you lose somebody. So no matter what.
right.
But life is short. So
Yeah. And, I know you love to go to Greece, and you were going every year. And that actually, it was also part of your research, and travel has been up and down. Although I will say Greeks here from New York, a lot did go to Greece. I felt like
that.
I felt like in the summer, people were willing to take that risk. And I mean, I'm not saying I heard every story, but like, I didn't hear any horror stories. Like, everybody seemed to have a good time, business as usual. So that was good. Now we're back to, I don't know what, but I've thought that this is, I'll just give you my 30-second on what I think of what's going on. January 6th, Epiphany, by the way, the Epiphany Day. Okay. People think that it's Greek Christmas. It's not quite great. It's it's not. It's when the day that John the Baptist baptized Jesus, the Epiphany, when the Holy Spirit presented himself. So for a little quick lesson for the Xeni.
And to Yanni and all the people. That's my dad's name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kronya Pola. Happy name day. So this Omicron, I've said it on my podcast before. Stop with I get the Xeni, like, I have to stop using our alphabet. Why don't we use the Chinese? Why don't we use the Wuhan alphabet? Okay. Because that's where it came from. And I don't care who I piss off. Okay. But anyway, why don't we use that alphabet? So no, they got to botch ours up. So anyway, Omicron is so much milder, thank God, of course, and the hospitalizations and all of the horrible things that happened in the beginning, which they did, are not happening. And New York, I'll just speak for New York, is run by incompetence and control freaks. And the shuts downs and the masks and the whole, the apart and all this, and what they did, especially now, I'll just speak for this city more than the state. The state was a little looser. Yeah. But this city really has fallen apart. And it was happening, honestly, the falling apart was happening before COVID, but this just was like the nail in the coffin. But with our mayor, who now is not the mayor anymore as of the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve, destroyed livelihoods and businesses, and as far as I'm concerned, on purpose. So anyway, that's a whole nother story. But this, to me, will pass. And as long as nothing else really mutates strongly, because if it stays like this, it's like, we're done. Like, it's a cold. Like, how many years especially like around here, Christmas is a big thing. Christmas parties are a big thing. You know, I know a lot of people in corporate America. I used to work in corporate America. You go to a Christmas party, you're drinking, you're hugging, who's making out in the corner, whatever. People get sick all the time. You know, you go to friends, you go to parties. So I just think I think this is going to pass, barring, you know, some new thing, which I just don't think is going to happen. That's what I see in my psychic eye. So hopefully we can start going and traveling again. And
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, like, as I could tell you my experience if you want about London and traveling to.
Yeah, sure.
It was very expensive. If I don't even know how to explain the amount of testing I had to do in London alone. London didn't care about how much money they charged tourists. They didn't care. And I think I read somewhere today, because I follow their government UK guidelines, that they are going to drop everything now. So it doesn't really make sense why you would charge somebody 500, 600, 700 pounds just for testing. It was really, really crazy. So I had to wear the mask the whole time on the plane. That was fine with me. I didn't mind that. And then Ellen, the part that was a little bit otinane, like however it goes, you know, we'd say that. I don't know how to explain that word in Greek to English, but just, it was, I arrived in London at Heathrow, and everything was fine. We had no planes ahead of us, no people behind us coming in. We were the only flight that came at the time. I think it was like 10:25 in the morning. They had only two officers at the time checking, and they said, you guys, all of you 300, go to the, you know, where you just check your passport and scan it, and just go scan it. And the machine wasn't working. And guess how long it took them to figure it out that this isn't going to work for that entire plane? 3 hours for standing.
Oh my God.
And it was just, you felt like during the pandemic, a lot of things, customer service went way down. Just to this day, customer service is still going down. So yeah, it took, I think, just for me to get out of the airport, it was like a total of 4 hours. So that's how it started.
Right.
And then, you know, and then I had to test day 1, day 2, day 5, day 8. And when you test, you swab, right? You go to the royal red mailbox, you can just deliver, and they deliver the box to you. Then you go outside and walk wherever your royal box is, put it inside the mail. They just so happened to miss my test by a few days. So I was patiently waiting. I couldn't get out of the house. So, you know, it was like, finally I'm out after day 10. So, you know, you have to be prepared if you're going to go to a country and they want you to quarantine. You have to quarantine for like at least 10 days, depending on the country, of course. So then we went to Greece, and we went to Corfu, and Corfu was not my favorite place. The food was actually not really good, Ellen. So
really, interesting.
Yeah. It was more of a Venetian vibe, Italian, if you will, vibe to Corfu. I knew about that. And I knew about Meet the Durrells and all the history. It is beautiful, but I really did prefer the 2 islands outside of Corfu, which was Antipaxos and Paxos. And they're most beautiful, beautiful water, everything. But the food, I noticed, was really not good in Corfu. They weren't really touristy places that, you know, we went to, but it was like, why is the horta so horrible, you know? Or the tomatoes were really lacking in flavor. It was a big shock for me, because as we know, as Greeks, we go to Greece, we enjoy the food always. So I felt like the pandemic really hit Greece too with the food. Yeah. But I did have my moment of relaxation in the water, so that was good.
That's good. That is so medicinal, the water.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
I hope to get there this summer. I mean, although I have to tell you, my husband's not a traveler. Anything we do is a car ride. But I'm about to go without him. I mean, I just
go with you.
Maybe we should go together, because I can't. You know, he's just not interested. And but I would love to go to Greece, and I would love to go to islands that I haven't been to, like Nisiros and
Oh yes.
Chios.
Chios,
No,
big. I don't want to go
Icaria.
there.
Yeah, Icaria. So anyway, but listen, I'm glad you got to get away and, you know, had a little bit of respite. So what's happening now? So like I said, January 6th, you got a book brewing in your head. You talked about possibly you're doing a podcast, or you starting your own podcast.
You are my inspiration.
All
and I have
right.
to thank you. I have to thank you so much. Don't listen to it yet, because I don't want you to you're gonna be like, Krystina, you need to edit. I'm gonna learn so much. And I have been learning. I did my first podcast, inspiration to you, dedication to you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. But I don't know whether you're gonna like me or hate me, but go ahead. It's
no, I just, we started Behind the Greek Apron podcast. It's really weird how it came out. The reason, 2020, I'll tell you guys a story really quick. December 2020, on Christmas Day, my Instagram goes poof, gone, disabled. I don't know why it was disabled. I don't know what happened, but I think you saw I was fighting to get it back. It took a long time.
Yes.
Okay. So then I had to create a second page because people were like, where did she go? What happened? I got emails. Where are you? I even had a lady cuss me out. She told me, that's really messed up that you unfollowed me. And I said, I didn't unfollow you. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of pasaria that happened with that. But anyway, long story short is that, and this was during the height of COVID, right? So people, their personalities changed. So I fought to get it back. We got it back. I had to create a second page so people during that time could, contact me. We decided to change it to Behind the Greek Apron. And then my friend from Netherlands said, Krystina, let's do a podcast together. So I immediately thought of you. And I said, oh, this is going to be interesting. So we started season 1, and it's been really quiet on the page right now because she moved to Germany, my co-host. But we're going to start season 2 again. It's Behind the Greek Apron podcast. Yeah.
Oh, no. And then on iTunes and
it's on Anchor, iTunes, a few other platforms as well. But I'm nervous for you to tune in. So.
Oh no, stop. No, I'm sure you're great. And then so you talk about all recipes and
yes, we talk about food, and I definitely would love to have you on. You're welcome anytime.
Oh gosh. Well, I can't give you recipes, but I can tell you all the food that I love. So
I have to tell you, editing a podcast, I give you major credit because I do it myself. And there's so many times when it doesn't blend right, and when you're doing the cut and paste and the music and everything. So I really give you, applaud you for,
oh my God, you're fancier than I am for sure. I highly recommend that everybody sign up for Krystina's newsletter, the Cuzinas, and you can say how to sign up. Kitchen.
Oh yes. It's kuzineskitchen.com, and you can just go to my blog and sign up there, subscribe.
K-O-U, so spell it for the Xeni.
Yes, K-O-U-D as in zebra, O-U-N-A-S, kitchen, KITCHEN.com. Yeah.
I mean, I get these emails, I open it up, and it's like eggnog cheesecake and, like chocolate cappuccino, like you had all, and you're very seasonal. So like in the fall, you said pumpkin.
Yeah,
pumpkin
I am.
Pastry, croissants. I'm just like, oh my God, this looks so good. And sometimes not everything is elaborate. Sometimes it's like these simple ingredients, but I'm just, like I said, I'm just inept. But you have like, I'm sorry, I'm not pinpointing one, but like I would open it up and it would be a version of, let's say like a cupcake, right? Which there's a million cupcakes, but you have like some different version of a cupcake.
I can switch the camera over and show you what's in front of me right now, which I have it here for you guys. So this, it doesn't show it because of the
background. Yeah, you got the background.
Okay, so it's not going to show. Okay, sorry guys. So it's yeah, my blog is everything to me. You know that. And I really appreciate you following this. So, what's funny is that everyone, when they start the new year, my resolution is lose weight, right?
Right.
I probably did the opposite for everybody. I started off with pasta week, and people are probably like, what?
I saw that. I saw
So
that.
I don't know. I apologize, guys, if it's not like healthy yet, but I do healthy recipes. So we're doing pasta week, and some of which is beet ravioli.
Wait, I'm sorry.
macaroni.
I'm sorry. Did you just say beet ravioli?
Yes.
I
Yes.
love beets.
Are you serious? You're in the. I love beans.
and I love ravioli. Oh my God. See,
Okay,
I've
so you
never
asked me.
heard of that ever.
So yeah, you can infuse pasta dough with beet, spinach, turmeric, squid ink, which is not my favorite, but a lot of people, they want to get that black color in their pasta dough. Beets are amazing. I made it last night. And Ellen, you asked me what I was doing. So one new thing is I'm doing virtual cooking classes on Zoom. I can teach you. Yeah, I can teach you how to make ravioli. So I'm also doing something new. It's a new concept. In January, end of January, I have one of my first Greek dinners. I bring a Greek dinner to someone's home, and it's a meetup, all ladies group. I'm teaching them how to do feta saganaki, pita bread, and they get like 7 or 8 appetizers, a dessert, and a cocktail. So I'm doing that soon. And it's kind of like bring Greek to your home. So
That's
those are
amazing. That's great. I love that idea. I just did not just did, it was actually in the summer. I had done it was I'll say a bridal shower, but it was at night. It was like, the mother of the bride was the one that hired me, and she had 7 or 8 of her daughter's girlfriends there. So whatever you want to call it, a little bachelorette party, whatever you want to call it. So it was in a beautiful house in Upper Saddle River, New Jersey. And so the mother calls me up, want to do something different, a comic. I'm like, yeah. So when I got there was a chef in the kitchen.
Oh, really?
Cooking. And I have to tell you, I've done a lot of parties. I've done a lot of, home parties, and there's always a chef in the kitchen, right? Because if you're going to go for it, if you're hiring a comedian, you got a chef in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I find that a lot. Actually, one of my first live shows I did. So our lockdown, and I hate that word, but our lockdown was March of 2020.
Yeah.
And in April, like April 4th or whatever, I get a call from a woman, like 25-year-old woman. And very long story short, she's like, we were supposed to have my mother's 60th birthday party. Obviously, we had to cancel it, but we really want to do something. We're going to have it on our house. We live in Borough Park, Brooklyn. We've all had COVID. And I'm like, what does your dad do? And she's like, he owns nursing homes. So they were Orthodox Jewish. And this is something that you probably don't know, but the Orthodox Jewish community was a community that got COVID pretty bad. And so I'm like, and they're like, my mother loves Mrs. Maisel, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I was so desperate to perform, so, and we were having a lot of crime. So anyway, I was like, okay. But it was so funny because everything she said to me was like checking the box of not to do it. We're Orthodox. My father owns a nursing home. Oh, and this woman she was one of 13 kids.
Oh, wow.
They have a lot of kids. And they were great. So there's going to be 50 of them. She goes, but we're going to be downstairs. Anyway, my whole point is I get to the house and it's beautiful. It doesn't look much on the outside. The inside's beautiful. They have like a full staff of cooks and, kitchen, caterers.
Yes.
And then I performed on the deck, and they were all, I didn't even get near them. Although when the girl came up to say goodbye to me, I hugged her. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm not crazy like that. I don't care. So I wouldn't say crazy, but I'm I'm
We're
much
good
more.
crazy.
I'm much more on the chillax side. Now, if someone says to me, "Don't hug me, please wear a mask," I don't disrespect. If,
Yeah.
of course. But like, if someone's like, "I'm not wearing my mask, want me to put my mask on?" I'm like, "No." So anyway, so all this to say that I think there was a lot of that going on, that people didn't want to go out to a restaurant, or they felt more comfortable at home. But plus restaurants had so many restrictions too, whether it was trying to get a reservation, or you couldn't have so many people. And so I just, like, again, I'm speaking for around here, there was just a lot of in-home stuff, and they were getting cooks.
I can say something about that with the
Yeah.
whole restaurant thing, a really weird experience. But I wanted to ask you really quick, isn't there a huge Jewish, there's like a community of Jewish people in New York?
Yes, there's a lot of Jewish people in New York. Yes.
There's a name. I think it starts with an M. I'm watching a show, The Unorthodox or something.
Oh, not Mennonites is Amish.
No, you probably heard of it. It's an actual community that's all Jewish in New York. And I can't remember the name, but yeah, I was watching that show. It's pretty interesting. And the mom, she's very like famous fashion designer. Anyway, I'll have to show you the link and everything.
I'll have to watch it. But tell us about restaurants, because they were horrible here to restaurants.
Oh yeah. The whole thing that really, I was really happy that the restaurants were still going, right? But for me, it was really interesting because if you're at home for a year and you don't see anybody, which that was me and my family, you kind of feel like anxious when you get out, right? And so you're like, I'm wearing this mask. I can't really shake people's hands. I kind of got an anxiety attack a little bit when I went to London because I didn't know how to react, right? So it was like, at first, I loved traveling. And so it was really weird. The whole thing was weird for me to go to a restaurant and you would scan this barcode. You would order your menu. You want to like say hi to the servers, but they're not really talking to you. So it was hard to really adapt to that. And I guess this is the story I want to tell you. There is a place called the Chard in London. And a lot of people know about it. It's this really beautiful place where you can go dine inside and have a drink or eat or whatever. I don't know if you know about it. I have probably tried to go there, Ellen, the last 6-7 times, let's say, on different trips. And this last trip, it was so frustrating. I'm never going to try to go there again because 2 chefs, me and my friend, were trying to go inside. And the bouncer, at the door at the ground floor, I said, look, I'm from California. I just really want to go here. I was dressed up in, nice outfit. And I said, I really just heard this place is beautiful and I want to see what it looks like, just a few minutes. He said, yeah, go ahead. So finally they let us up. That was the 7th time. As we get up out of the elevator, we're wearing our mask and everything. There is another bodyguard and he's like, stop right there.
Oh my God.
And I was like, he's like, do you have a reservation? And I said, no, but the bodyguard downstairs let us up. He said we could just walk around and see the view. No, you're not allowed. We don't have any more seats. And I saw many seats available. And it was the worst experience I had because I tried to go there so many times. And I asked for the manager, that I guess coming from a hospitality background, my grandfather was a distributor in beer. So he always told me, if you're upset, like, or you need to complain, you should, because they should know what's going on. So I said, can I please speak to your manager? And the guy kind of just gives me like an eye roll, the mati, and my friend's looking at me like, no, oh, he don't, and I'm like, no, I'm going to. So I spoke to the manager and she said, can I help you? And I said, hi, I'm from California, really far, obviously. And we're both chefs. My friend is the executive chef at this restaurant here in London. And I said, listen, I totally understand that you guys have this, we're doing this pandemic. I just want to take 2 minutes to walk around and see the view. And it was a no-go, Ellen. And I started crying. It's like the worst experience, of walking away from the Chard. And I think we said some cuss words in Greek afterwards and we just left. So
where is it located?
The Chard is in like the heart of London, so downtown. It's this beautiful building, and everybody knows about it. It's like the Monument of London. So it's this beautiful place. And so instead we went somewhere else, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's very famous. It's not as high as the Chard, but Sky Garden is where we went, and it's beautiful. But I don't think I'll ever be able to see the Chard. So at this point in time.
Well, scordo to him. That's what
Scordo, no.
Oh,
I wish I said that word. I said some other words in Greek, and it was, I think the bodyguard was like, "Why is she crying?" And I'm like, "Come on, let's go.
how heartless can you be? That's awful.
Yeah, I think they were like Americans. No, but no, it's that was a bad experience for me, but London in general was interesting of traveling, and Greece was pretty interesting too. I did see a lot of Americans in Greece, in Corfu. So they were popping out of nowhere. Yeah.
Let me say this something about restaurants and food also, what is happening. And when we went out, as a matter of fact, June of 2020 was the first time we went out to a restaurant. They had let the restaurants open. So that's how long they were closed in New York, which was, like I said, ridiculous. And then they let restaurants use the outdoor space, which means the street and the sidewalk, it's disgusting. I don't eat out. I don't like eating out in the street. I don't like, and it's dangerous because there's cars. So anyway, but the first time because June, it was our anniversary, and we went to this restaurant, not that far from where we lived. I'd never been there before, but I know the food is good. It's an Italian restaurant. And I'll never forget, first of all, we're on the sidewalk, the table is wobbly. And I actually like to eat inside. And, I like that experience. I don't want to eat outside.
Yes.
Unless, again, it's, or like lunch, or it's a cafe, like, yes, there's like, if you're in Paris, that's different. But I'm just saying, in a typical New York restaurant, I usually like to eat inside. And I remember I got the sea bass, and it was this big, and it was like $35. I had 2 bites. I was starving. I do have a big appetite, but it was ridiculous. My husband.
You have a big appetite. You're tiny.
I have a very big, when I sit down to eat, I'm a volume eater. That's why I love vegetables. Like, I will steam half a bag of Brussels sprouts because they're filling, and I like salads, and like, I'll put chicken on it, or, protein burger and beans and whatever, but, or fish, salmon. But I fill up on a lot of vegetables. Like, I have to feel full.
I love vegetables.
I'm not a Porsche. I'm not one of these, like, no. So, and then my husband had a pasta dish or whatever. Anyway, it was a very expensive bill for what it was. And I was starving, and, it was very disappointing. So my point is, what's happened is that you're paying more for less. And I know that's not just New York, that's happening. Food is going up, inflation. I mean, that is a real thing. And and then there was the supply chain and all that, more chazoprama. And it's like everywhere you turn around. But I do want to ask you a little bit about, and I know you live more in the country, so you might be a little isolated.
No, actually.
And I mean, you can, whatever your opinion is, we're very free speaking here on Karis Comedy Corner. So, no judgment. It's fine. I've had people from every side of the political spectrum. And if you listen to me enough, you know exactly where I stand. But there's been a lot of rioting. We've had it. We have the crime. I mean, this city is for shit. I hate to say it. New York City is for shit. And if this doesn't turn around, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I mean, is it forever and ever? No, of course not. But could it take 20 years? Possibly. I mean, it's quicker to go down than the ride back up, and life is different now. It's just, industry is different. Technology is different. Companies are realizing they don't have to be here. COVID made people remote work from home. That's like a whole new thing. Now, I don't think that that's always a replacement for in the off. I mean, I had a office job. I was in finance. There is something to be said about going to an in-person meeting. There's something to be said to walk into somebody's office to go, hey, look at this, da, da, da. There's something to be said about training somebody in person versus virtually. So I certainly am not, and I never signed up for, no one's going to the office. That's a ridiculous statement. But there will be some jobs like a tech job or like a back office that might get substituted for that. So anyway, crime, restaurants, all that. What's happening by you? Because we do see California also not in good shape. And both of our states, I'm just going to say it, blue, and people, I mean, you saw what happened to our governor. So, and I don't know what they're thinking. That, I just feel like the decisions that they make are the opposite of what the decision should be. It should be pro-business and pro-people. And that's not happening. So what's happened? So give me the.
Well, I don't know which way I should go with this conversation because
whatever you want.
Well, I didn't even say, okay, I had a lot of stress happen recently in regard to the fires. I'm not sure if you were following the fires. I was there in Greece when there were massive fires in Evia, in Mani. Actually, my cousins were evacuated. So I was having this in the back of my mind, like, go help your cousins. We were going to go to Mani. And then I said, no, we're not going to Mani because it's on fire. Mavrovouni was on fire, where my dad's from. So my cousin, his wife, she was on the phone with me the day it happened. They were frantic. We're in the car. We're getting evacuated. I think some of the Horia, like the Horio villages were being burned down, ones that I'm very familiar with. So that was really hard. And then it was the craziest thing, Ellen. Before I left, there was a house fire across from my neighbor. My neighbor had a house fire. We live in if you look at Pollock Pines, it's a land of trees. So if we have a fire, it's just going to go spread everywhere, literally. So I called the fire department that day when I saw the fire burning at my neighbor's house, and they saved it. Luckily, they got it. I saw 5 trees just blow up in front of me.
Wow.
And, yes. And we were ready to evacuate that day. So then I told my parents, I think it's time to move elsewhere. This is not a good place. And because we get snow, massive amount of snow, we're at 4,000 elevation. And California, to most Greeks, is sun, sun, sun. It is sun, but if you're at a high elevation, you get your snowstorms. So, so when I was in London, and when I was also in Greece, I watched the Horio go on fire. And then when I came back to London, that's when my parents, Nestor, and everyone had to evacuate because of the Caldor fire. We were 7 miles away from the bad fire that was probably on the news. I don't even know if you knew that.
No, I don't know. I did. You know what? My heart goes out to you all. I am petrified of fire. So just looking at it for me on TV is just stressful and just wigs me out. I cannot imagine what you go through.
Well, it was hard for me because I was across the world and there was nothing I can do. I actually extended my trip my mom said, stay in London. You're safer there than you are to come home. So my sister lives in Vacaville, which is about an hour and a half heading towards San Francisco. If you're in general, it's a Sacramento location. So basically, yeah, that was a nightmare. I mean, they were calling me in the middle of the night. I had text messages from friends. Are you okay? We knew at Costco, Nestor had 2 friends that lost their homes.
Oh,
and
my God.
Yeah, so that alone was a lot to deal with. My parents, everyone was evacuated for 1 month. So
where did you go?
They went to my sister's and all Fasadia happened.
Oh,
I'm sorry to my sister.
So did you move? So then did your family move?
I stayed in Europe because it was the best possible thing I could do.
When you came back, did your family move?
No, we're back. We're here in the house again. Oh, you will be shocked. And everybody that's listening, lavender farmers, what were we thinking? We're going to lose our farm. We're going to lose everything. We had the Ring camera setup was all outside. At one point, it was all black from smoke and ash. Oh. Ash was just coming down. And somehow there were angels looking over us. I'm not sure who it was, but all of our lavender did not die.
Oh
Nothing in
my
that.
gosh.
It stayed. And imagine for 1 month, nothing was being watered. I mean, how can your plants still be around,
A
So
miracle. That's a
my
miracle.
dad, yeah, it really, my dad was so happy. And when Nestor and Cosmo, my dog, came back, they immediately watered, and they said, you did lose your tomato plants from Greece. You lost them. I was like, but the lavender survived. Yeah. And that was like,
So what's your take on what's happening to your state? And I will say, and I've said this forever, California is one of the most beautiful places in the world. The state in general, it's got all four seasons, the mountains, the Pacific Ocean, the parks, Yosemite. I've driven down the coast, Santa Monica. It's beautiful. It's so gorgeous, and
thank you.
there's so much farmland there. It's amazing. It's really it is a miracle. And when I see, and I realize, news and a little bit of sensationalism, but I just know from what's here and what's the truth here, and I see the looting and go, Nordstrom's and then nobody's going to arrest anybody. Like there's no punishment for taking property that doesn't belong to you. What is going on?
Yeah, so I live in a very remote area, going back to Pollock Pines. I think I'm about 45 minutes from Sacramento. So depending on traffic, of course. Politically, I don't know, I do keep up with things, but it's hard. We had our riots in Sacramento. I saw that many times, and I saw things happen last year, let's say. I'm sure we all saw it. Our Capitol was destroyed, and a lot of things started happening. And I guess I could use Nestor again as an example. He was at Costco working outside the door, and he saw some crazy things happen. For example, he would see, Trump supporters, and I'm not saying anything about where I lean or whatnot, but he would say, there were people driving around 3 times circling Costco with their flag and everything. Mm-hmm. And they were basically willing to destroy the people that weren't on their side. And it was just a lot of hatred, Ellen. In California, I would notice it in driving. People would just get very close to you, behind you, and they would honk their horn, get out of my way type of situation. So I thought that was really difficult to deal with, especially when you're at home during this whole pandemic and you're going out and you're dealing with these crazy drivers,
It's a shame that, people like that would cause harm, intimidate, bully, destroy, all of that. They take away from what really the basis of what they're saying they represent. They've completely kiboshed it. They've completely ruined that. And then the problem I find is that not me, but other people will so if you lean one way, they'll just throw you in the pot with the crazies, or you lean the other, throw you in. Don't put me in with the crazies. I don't want to be near crazies. They're crazy. Nobody should be destroying it. I don't care if it's my sister. Okay. Nobody is above the law. End of story. So I don't want to hear it's COVID and they need to steal. It's this because they're not treated fairly, but they're stealing. I don't want to hear it. I'm done. So to see the looting and all of this stuff, and and to the people that are in charge that are doing nothing about it and letting it skate or putting a dollar limit on it, that makes me even more sick, because you're working for us and you should know better. How would you like it if somebody came to your lavender farm and all of a sudden just started destroyed, just pulled up everything and ruined it all? There's no protection there. And that,
and I think Sorry. I think it also goes, how many friends have you lost because of politics? Like, that's ridiculous. If I can say
How about
anything,
pigs?
yeah, if I can say anything, it's that we should all come together as one, whether you lean left or right
Right.
or center. I have friends that I don't see eye to eye politically. That's fine. You shouldn't, anyone out there that has lost a friend because of politics, like, you should try to connect with that person, because I think the whole political thing, it really hit us strong, as well as the pandemic, and those two together really created hatred. So,
But unfortunately, there's some people that won't even warrant a discussion. They won't, if you're not completely in line with them, you're an extremist, and it's just, and I can't talk to people like that, because it's like, that's not what I said. And, so anyway, I brought that up, not, again, not to get, heavy into politics, and we're not, look, I don't know where you lead. I tell you what, I know this: you're a great person. You're a family loving woman. You're a hard woman. You're a hard worker. You take care of yourself. You're creative. That's all I kept. Just be a good, there's two kinds of people in this world: good people and assholes. That's how I divide it. That's it. I'm very black and white when it comes to that. I'm very maniatico when it comes to that.
We're both a maniatista.
That's it. That's it. I'm done. That's how I divide you. So,
Ellen, I don't
we
know.
can talk about the economics and stuff, and I have an economics background, so I do get a little, because that is something I'm versed in. I'm not a scientist, or an environmentalist. I can't get into that, on a very specific level. I certainly think that I think that with everything, there's always, you take everything, and then I try to adjust it, because at the end of the day, everything is motivated to make money.
Yeah.
So,
I've seen that with the whole pandemic. When I was traveling, it was the most expensive 2-month trip I ever had, and yeah, it was my decision to do that. But I wish that there wasn't a lot of things I had to go hoops to go through,
right.
If you can wait to travel, to anyone out there, I would say wait and plan it out, because the flights usually to London from San Francisco are $500. And guess how much they were just one way? $2,400.
Oh yeah. Well, fuel too, that's not helping the situation.
I
know
mean,
California's got crazy gas prices, right?
Yes. And by the way, I didn't tell you, we just had no power for almost 10 days. So I can go on about.
We would have eaten each other alive. How you guys are so patient.
You know how we didn't.
Let me tell you something. My husband loses his chapstick, and he loses it. Where's my chapstick? I'm like, I don't know. I don't want you stupid half-eaten waxy cherry flavored chapstick. Okay, that is.
Oh, that's my favorite one though.
That is the level of sensitivity here. So I don't know how. We have no power for 10 days. You're like a warrior. You guys are warriors.
Well, let me tell you what I did before we wrap it up. I'm sure we could talk. So Ellen is my friend. We go back. We could probably talk for years. So I legit did this the other day, and it was kind of a shock. But hey, so we are on a generator. And here's the thing. I don't know if you saw in the news. California, I think about 50,000 people were out of power because we had a snowstorm. So we had 3 feet of snow come in overnight, and then all these trees were breaking. One landed on Nestor's car and crashed it. And it's just been one thing after another, right? Our power lines, we saw the actual tree. The reason why we lost power, because a tree fell down in front of us. We saw it at our neighbor's house. And the snow was so heavy that it broke the power lines, and they started swinging all over the place. And that's when we lost our power. And PG&E, not so helpful, sorry. We've had a lot of issues with them. So there are people to this day right now, they don't have power at all. And they're going to have no power for 20 days, actually. We went on almost our 10th day. So the other day, when we didn't have hot water for some reason, we are on a generator, house generator, which I suggest. And Ellen, let me tell you, I was like, okay, I need to take a shower, guys. Oh, well, what am I going to do? I went and boiled water in these big pots, and I felt like I was in the Greek hodyo again, because sometimes you don't have, you have to switch, in Greece you have to flick the switch. In some places to get hot water.
Yes.
You have to wait. Well, I felt like that, and so here's Nestor coming in. Oh, here's the boiling water. Where do you want it? I'm sitting in the bathtub. Well, okay, let me try to pour it, and I don't burn myself, type of thing. But we are fortunate. It's happened to us a few times, and we have our power back. But it's hard to live in a very rural area where they don't care. PG&E electrical company just doesn't care. And I hope that changes. So, but with the fires, the snow, and the no power,
and the thing is, you still look great. You still have a smile on your face. You still cook and, dying to be creative and feed people, which is very nurturing. I mean, you're very special. Me, I would have been, I would have upped my Xanax is basically what I would have had to do.
I wanted to smoke weed. Sorry, I don't know if I can say.
It makes me dopey, so I can't even.
But Ellen,
I smoke weed. I sound like Joe Biden with a mask on. So
I want to see that.
How clear that is. All right, listen. Give us your social media, the blog. Give us everything.
Okay. So I'm on Krystina's Kitchen, KOUZOUNAS kitchen.com, my blog, and everywhere on social media it's Krystina's Kitchen on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, everything. And I just appreciate you always thinking of me. You always somehow, you're like, can you come back on the show? So I really appreciate it. And you know how much I miss you. It's time to connect again. So
we're going to do that, sister. We are totally going to do that. Follow Krystina everywhere. I'm telling you, sign up for that newsletter. Even if you don't make anything, which obviously I haven't, when I open it up, it makes me happy. And it's just even a great distraction. And maybe someday I will be motivated to make that pumpkin cheesecake that looked so delicious, or those cupcakes, or I'm a real dessert.
Ravioli.
The ravioli. So sign up, and we're looking forward to your book. We're going to listen to your podcast. Keep doing what you're doing, and spread you spread love. You spread love and sunshine.
I try, and you're one of my favorite Greek people. I've had my challenges with Greek, so you are. We love them in my heart.
We love them, and sometimes we want to shake them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, and thank you, everybody. Listen, I'm Ellen Karis. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Greek Chick Comic. Also, my Facebook page, Ellen Karis, Greek Goddess of Comedy, or go to my website, ellenkaris.com, for obviously this website, I didn't have my chocolate today. This podcast and the other ones. This is, by the way, we are now in our 8th season. We've been doing it since 2015 was our first season. We had Krystina on in 2016 and in 2018. And we're very appreciative of everybody that listens and are the guests that do come back. And have a little chocolate. Have a little
chocolate. Yes.
Have a little chocolate. It just makes everything feel a little bit better. All right, we'll get over this, folks. Taperasi. This will pass too. Thank you. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.